The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Well, hello. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip.
And I'm CJ.
And it is hump day in the Riv after big fire and all kinds of news. I guess we got to start with the big news nationally.
Nope, we got to start with the message from Mayor Coogan.
Oh, no, national news does take a little precedent. Trump has... Trump has declared he's going to run for the big surprise.
Right.
And that speech actually wasn't too bad. I watched it. It wasn't too bad. But yeah, you're right. We look. They can call us anything they want, but we try to be fair and we give everybody an opportunity to come on the show and talk. And I know that on Monday's show we talked about Watuppa Heights and I guess the
alleged private developers.
Alleged. Yeah, well, Okay, we'll get into that, but he was upset because, that's what Paul does.
Right.
He takes one sentence. We got a 30-minute show. You say one line that he doesn't like, and that's what he's going to try to focus on to divert attention. Let's look. We're going to look at the thing in its entirety. I know he called me, and he hasn't called me in, I think, since the last ice age. Mm-hmm. But I was working out, and I'm in the gym, and I leave my phone in a locker because I don't want to be disturbed. And he called you, and you had a conversation with him.
Yes, I did.
So you can, since you actually spoke to him, because he doesn't leave messages, because then you can actually play it back and say exactly what he said. So you can explain the situation, and we will both comment on it. And before we do, I want to make it perfectly clear that he has an open invitation to come down here, sit right in between us or at the either end.
Yep.
He can choose his seat, and we can discuss this issue.
Anything he likes.
Anything he likes.
Yeah.
Okay, that is an open invitation because we do not, we do not fear debate. It's not a problem. We will defend and discuss our positions on everything. So
I agree. So we had talked about the fact that Watuppa Heights was taken down, and that there was a lawsuit against the city that they had settled, that they would provide a replacement of those units, which was about 100 units, I believe. And Paul made it clear in his conversation with me that he believes the city has already met that requirement of 100 units. I didn't debate him on it because I still can't figure out how they met the 100 units that they have to replace, because if it's Section 8 certificates, that's not replacing 100 units. And as far as I know, the Housing Authority, since the demolition of Watuppa Heights, hasn't built any more projects anywhere. And haven't built any more projects. And he said that we had mentioned about the private developers looking at Watuppa Heights. And I didn't review the show, but the mayor wanted to assure me that there are no, to his knowledge, there are no private developers currently looking at Watuppa Heights. As a matter of fact, he says state law provides that Watuppa Heights be created as 26 individual affordable housing units.
Okay.
And that's in the law. And I said, why hasn't it been done? And he says, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get the Housing Authority to step up and do that. Okay.
Well, all right. I can understand what he's saying, but I did review the show. Mm-hmm. I did mention something about private developers.
Yep.
So, but I'm going to obviously now clarify it, because we have situations here where we talk about things, and I will be the first to admit that sometimes we discuss things in that snapshot of the moment.
Correct.
But we also understand that we've done shows on things like this, because we got another I talked to another individual, and we always get feedback in a form of emails and phone calls and stuff about our shows.
Yes.
So we will get into that, but first let's
Being
deal,
accosted in the coffee shop.
Let's deal with Mayor Coogan, and we will, listen. I will explain as he explained, and I kind of understand what he said. I would prefer a more in-depth discussion on this, so everybody can understand it, because this is another problem with Mayor Coogan. His lack of transparency. You only get the line or two or the piece that he wants to tell you. He never says, this is the plan. Now, this agreement was made when Paul was still walking around the halls of Durfee with his hands in his pockets. So as a concerned citizen, and as someone who actually was part of the demonstrations about giving us affordable, not public housing, not workforce housing, but affordable housing. And he said it by his own words. This was affordable housing.
Right.
Okay. We don't have enough. And I believe he said we had enough. We've complied with it. I don't believe.
No, with the requirement, he believes that they've replicated the 100 units that.
And that's his opinion.
Right.
No, and so that's why they should not be looking for a waiver. They should be looking for a legal opinion from a court.
Right.
Because they made an agreement to give us more affordable housing, and we need a lot more affordable housing. Mayor Coogan has never been an advocate of giving us the affordable housing we need, especially with what's happening in the United States now, with the inflation. He lacks transparency in everything. He never has a plan. So you're going to bring this in. All I know is I saw Rumsey at some point in time go in front of the council. We're looking for a waiver or something.
Or a relief.
Or a relief or something. Yeah, some legal term.
Right.
In other words, you want to tweak it. My answer, my question is simple, and you feel free to come on. My answer is simple. We made this agreement. Why even look at it unless you're prepared to build the affordable housing that the agreement was made for? Because what he was saying is like they're trying to get around it. They're trying to get around this. What does that mean? Are we going to make market rate as part of that too? I don't know. But the problem is we can't know because we never get a full disclosure on anything from this mayor. Never. Everything is always pieces, bits and pieces that he has to come out to respond to questions. You can eliminate all these questions by telling people exactly what the plan, why, the whys and the wherefores. I was part of this. I actually walked in a demonstration with the Coalition of Social Justice.
Where are they?
Where are they? Exactly. And I continue. Where are they? I walked that line, trying to make sure we got affordable housing for the people of Fall River, to replace that housing, not public housing, affordable housing. And for some reason, Paul can't reconcile the differences. I don't know. He's got at least a bachelor's degree. Should be able to understand the difference between public housing, workforce housing, and affordable housing. Affordable housing is a topic of conversation throughout the country now. The average person cannot afford housing anymore. Our own governor-elect said it's the most critical issue facing it, yet Fall River is the only community, it seems, in Massachusetts that is oblivious to this, and they're doing it. So if he wants to explain it, I don't know why they even brought it up. You're going to abide by the agreement, build it. The reason I talked about developers is, listen, and I'll tell you, maybe there are no developers, private developers, at this time. And remember, he also qualified his answer. He said, I am not aware of, or something to that effect.
Right.
Well, I am not aware of it either. But I learned from history. And in this city, that doesn't mean at some point in time everything will change for the benefit of certain rich people who control this entire community. I seem to remember Shores, where Shores was down the south end, and
Yep.
Stop and Shop is now.
Valley Steakhouse.
Valley Steakhouse. I seem to remember those parcels being sold for like $1
Right.
to a private developer.
That was under Carlton Viveris.
After they were city land, and they said, "Oh, we got to get rid of it. It's just sitting there derelict." And this guy might they had inside information that Stop and Shop and Shore, and that developer made a whole bunch of money.
Right.
I seem to remember the same thing happening with Paroma Drape down the north end.
Yep.
That got sold for like $500, and the guy made millions. So, listen, while you were wandering around with your hands in your pocket in the school department, I was involved in these things. I saw these things happen, and I paid attention, because I didn't just go to school, play with the kids, and collect my paycheck. I was involved all those years ago, and I'm still involved. So don't tell me that there will never be a developer. This land may ultimately, first step is to try to get the relief. Then all of a sudden, what'll happen? Something could happen. Will it happen? No. But you know how we'll know it won't happen? If you, for once, just once, come out, tell us your plan, and guarantee that that's the way it's going to be. Just once, Paul. You didn't do it with Malone. You haven't done it with the police department. You don't do it with anything. All I want you to do is clarify it and put it in writing. Or go before the council in a camera, with a camera, and say, this is what we want to do. It is our job to live up to this agreement, and I am committed to build affordable housing on that site. Now, the other machinations of why we reached our threshold, and that's horse manure. What's that got to do with that parcel of land? That's just my opinion. But if you can clarify that, please do. And actually, I would love to have you sitting right here in front of a camera, looking out into that camera like we do 3 times a week, and telling the people, don't worry about it. I'm doing this because I'm going to build affordable housing on that place. And this is the reason I sent Runaway Rumsey in here to look for some kind of relief. Because to me, it looks like you're looking for relief from the agreement. So that's just my opinion. I will admit there's no private developers at this point in time, but I just said it. So listen, again, we are the victims of lack of communication from the mayor. And if everything is a guessing game or theoretical, I couldn't have that theory if Mayor Coogan had said, this is what we're going to do with this parcel right now, period. Case closed. It's everybody knows it, the council knows it, the people of Fall River know it, and this is what we're going to do. But he never does that.
Well, you know, what was interesting is I had to review several city council meetings. You know, I was plucking my eyes out.
It's a fate worse than death.
Yeah, it can be. And I was reviewing it for Rumsey's statement, and he did say that the city was seeking relief.
Yeah.
Now, what relief from what? I don't know, but he did say that the city believes they've already replicated those units that they had agreed to. I still haven't seen those units. I'm not going to say that Section 8 is replicating the units, because Section 8 is private housing that landlords agreed to accept the federal subsidy. That's not replicating the units.
Yeah, but let me just, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, CJ, because, you know, you're the guy who had the conversation. But you know me, I'm pretty sensitive to wording.
I know.
I'm a word guy. I don't care what they did with Section 8 or anything else. That agreement was made for that parcel of land, not the rest of the city. You can't try to get relief because you gave 6 houses Section 8 vouchers and say that you agreed to it. No, that's not what the agreement was. I was there. That was about Watuppa Heights, not the rest of the city. So right now, because you won't clarify it, and again, feel free to come here and clarify it. It appears to me, and I'm fairly analytical, it appears to me that you're looking for an out. on that parcel of land. That agreement that was made for what they were going to do with that site.
Well, in fairness to Paul, he did say that the state legislature, I guess they must have passed special legislation dealing with this, to create 26 units, single-family units, on that property to make the 26 affordable housing units.
And if my recollection is right, they were for veterans, too, veterans preference.
Well, that may have been very true. And the thing is that I don't know why the state would limit it to 26 units, because if I put duplexes in there, I got 52 units.
Yeah.
Side by side.
Yeah.
They're still affordable housing units. I think that would be a waste of space, but that's neither here nor there. And again, this is a parcel of land that could be considered waterfront property because it's on the pond.
Yeah.
And I know you think of waterfront properties on the river, on the beach, but people do look at
classification. You're right.
People look at it that way, and so you have to ask, why is it taking so long for the housing authority to build these units? Because that's who it is. It's not the city of Fall River. It's the housing authority. Yeah. And the mayor even said it. We're trying to make the housing authority get these units developed.
Well, there you go, CJ. See, they say we're always against them. But I'll tell you what, Paul, if you want to build 52 units, duplexes on that, if you want to build more affordable housing, not market rate housing, because that's what we need in this city, and you appear to be totally against that, I will be there with you. I will walk that picket line with you. If you're going to come out, but see, therein lies the problem. I just have a problem with everything being done behind closed doors, and you get everything piecemeal. If it's the housing authority that's the problem, I'll tell you what, I'll walk a picket line around a housing authority. I don't care, because we need affordable housing, and everybody in this country is looking to try to get as much affordable housing as you can, because people in this country, the middle class, not just the low income and moderate, the middle class is disappearing right now because of this inflation. $7,200 is the new norm off the top of their income. And people, rents are tripling in Fall River. If you can't see that, but again, we get down to the core issue here. Lack of communication by the mayor. He ran on transparency, and he ran on honesty, and there seems to be no communication regardless of what it is. This is just the latest example of his, behind closed door government.
Right.
And that's the problem that I have with it. And okay, right, at this point in time, there are no private developers, but forgive me for remembering the history of this city. I have seen a lot of parcels that started out as city land and ended up in the hands of rich developers.
For cheap money.
For cheap money, and they made millions, and the city took gas on it. How many times have we heard it, even recently? Remember that big thing about the rents, et cetera? All of a sudden they're going to pay massive rents, and they weren't going to pay that before. And now we got another tip about a local, about the school department blowing all kinds of money, renting a property.
Without sending it to bid.
At double the amount. And ironically enough, that particular area is owned by a facility that a lot of these high-powered people are involved in.
Exactly.
And the details of that will come out at some point in time. But again, look, this happens all the time, and we have to get down to the lowest common denominator. And the lowest common denominator is our mayor's incredible lack of transparency on everything.
Well, I will say this. Paul did say that if we want to ask him any questions, to call him and ask the questions. He'll be more than happy to answer them. So I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt there.
No, we just asked the question.
Right.
But unlike him, we're doing it in public.
Right.
Because we want our viewers and the public to know, not just us.
Right.
I'm not doing it because it's not me, just me and CJ. CJ and I.
Better.
Grammatically. Yeah. But I was going to say me, and then I was going to refer to you and let you say your own thing. But you know, this crap. Call me, and then you're going to do what? Say I said this, and he said, she said. Right. No, I told you. Come in here, sit over here, and let's say it in front of a camera, and you can't take it back. Okay? We've gone that route. We had a lot of telephone conversations when you first got in, and everything always got distorted. Mm-hmm. That's why I'm not gonna answer the phone, because I don't want to have a conversation with you. Then it'll be your word against my word, and I don't want to play he said, she said. I'm willing to say anything I have to say in front of a camera, and I always have been. I'm doing it right now. Well, so if you want to discuss this, fine. Come over here and clarify it. We will discuss it. As I said, I just laid out all my complaints, and I know you're watching, or one of your stooges is watching, and they're going to report everything that we say. So I'm telling you, why are you involved in this? I will give you the benefit of the doubt that it's the housing authority. But how do we know? Everything's a guess. Come out here and say, look, this is what the housing authority is not allowing us to do this, and we have every intent to build affordable housing over there, and we're trying to help it. And as I said, if you want to go pick at the housing authority, I'll be right there with you.
What's very interesting is the reason why I answered the phone, because if you remember the last time that we supposedly avoided his calls, which we didn't, we were busy.
Well, now on, I'm going on record. I am going to avoid your call because I can't, you know, I don't want to be put in a position where it's, you said I said this, and I got to say, and I said you said this, and he said she said. No. You want to talk to me? Talk to me on a record with witnesses or in front of a camera. We did it at the PEC meeting, and we filmed it. And then we did it at another PEC meeting, and they destroyed the video. So, because they didn't want it ever shown, because that turned into a horror show. But we don't have a problem with that. I don't want to be exchanging phone calls. This is not between you and I, Paul. This is between you and the people of Fall River. The people who are trying to pay their rent. The people who are trying to find affordable housing. That's who it's between, Paul. That's your problem. You like to do everything behind closed doors and try to make deals. I'm not making a deal. This is a matter of principle. This is a matter of the people of Fall River. You are supposed to be the mayor of Fall River. You are supposed to be acting in their best interests. So if you are, let's let the people of Fall River know exactly what the problem is, and we can discuss it right here. And if you're right and we agree, we'll agree. And if we disagree, we will disagree. But we will disagree on camera.
Civilly.
Well, maybe civilly, possibly civilly. But I can guarantee that it will be, even if it's a massive disagreement, will not degenerate into anything else. So.
Well, if you remember last time when we didn't answer the phone or didn't get back to him in time, he reacted with retribution, and he stopped sending any press releases or any information to us from the administration, from the 6th floor. We still got them. We just didn't get them direct, but we still got them. And I said, you know what? I'm going to answer this phone as, you know, a peacemaking issue. Because you know what? We do have to talk to him. We do have to talk with him. And you're right. We have to talk to him right here. Yeah. And there's not a problem with that. So.
And while we're on it, and we started this with this, and we're going to continue on this vein, because I think it's very, very important. Because this is the problem, Paul. You're talking to CJ, you're talking to me. But this is not about, we're talking about city issues, things that affect the people of the city of Fall River. And we get people that call us, email us, do all kinds, attack us in coffee shops and do whatever, to tell us what they think. And we like that. We don't care if you agree or disagree.
We have a lot of people that disagree.
We had one guy that said, "Oh, I really love your show, but Chip is always saying that there's not a lot in Fall River, and blah 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 blah." And we got Lizzie Borden, and we got, and that's fine. You're right. We always do have that, but we don't have a lot. We only have Portuguese, and then not everybody's interested in eating Portuguese food.
You can only eat so much of it.
But the other thing is that you got to remember one thing: tourism is not the panacea for Fall River. Remember, Miami had one of the greatest, has always been one of the greatest tourist attractions in the United States. They had a booming tourism industry, and that city was an absolute crap hole for years. The people in their city were suffering. They have a new mayor who is now said, it's not tourism, it's the people. And he's designed programs to make Miami a much better city, and it's worked. Because tourism is not, and they were one of the greatest tourist meccas in the country. But let's get back to one of the shows. One of our viewers I was speaking to said, you guys are talking about the stabbing and the murders and blah, 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 but you didn't really get into it as to why and the wherefores. And I said, I understand what you're saying, and it's probably, CJ and I have done shows. We've given the data on why we have crime several times. But we forget that not everybody has been watching our show for 10 years.
That's right.
And you're right, but we can't just eat data. The problem is, we have said, we were #1 in crime 2 years in a row. We were #2 in New England 1 year, only behind one city in Connecticut. I believe it was Hartford. It may not be. My apologies to Hartford if it wasn't for Hartford, but it was one of the largest cities in Connecticut. It was #1. But when we reiterate about the crime, we're sending a message. We're reminding you and our council, who seem to be oblivious, that it is crime, and it's the perception, the safety. We are supposed to be providing a safe environment for our people. And if that perception is not what the people of Fall River feel, something has to be done about it. Because the reality is, murders, stabbings, holdups, ATVs running amok in the streets, all problems. All making the people who live in this community, who are entitled to have domestic tranquility, are not getting it. And so those are all symptoms. The problem, the bottom line problem, is we have a mayor that doesn't have a plan for anything. Shootings, stabbings, ATVs running amok.
Well, he may have a plan, but he hasn't shared it with us.
Well, if he hasn't shared it, he doesn't have it. We're going to get back to that philosophical agreement. If a tree falls in the woods, does it make a noise?
Yep.
No, we don't know. Well, Paul, we don't know. I mean, obviously, if it was a plan, it hasn't worked well. You've been in for 3 years. I haven't heard one thing about straightening out the problems in the police department. And if you are, why didn't you share it? Why does every other mayor get in front of a microphone to assuage the people who he's in charge of? Why does Mitchell get in front of a camera, talk about affordable housing?
Be careful there. Remember what he told one of our viewers?
I know. Go work with Mitchell.
Go work with Mitchell.
And you got laws that talking about what they were going to do with the ATVs. You haven't ever shared anything with the people of Fall River. And you know something? When your tree fell, nobody heard it.
Yeah, I can hear that for sure. Pun intended.
Yes.
Next Tuesday, and we will bring it up to you again on Monday, I hope, there is a safety meeting at Government Center to address the ambulance rotation, moving the ambulances down to the central station. Get as many people out there as you can to talk about it, because you have to have a voice in this. Well, I want to thank you all for watching. Sorry we got taken off on this tangent, but that's the way it is. Have a wonderful day, and remember, stay safe, stay angry, and hold your politicians accountable. Thanks for watching.